All right. So you ever feel like you're stuck on a treadmill, running and running, but never really getting anywhere?
Yeah.
Like you're working your tail off, but it's not really for you.
Yeah.
It's for someone else or for some like arbitrary goal.
Totally.
We're diving into that feeling today.
Yeah.
That feeling of being trapped in the rat race.
Okay. Yeah.
Got some interesting sources lined up, a couple of YouTube videos and an article, all offering different perspectives on this thing we all seem to experience.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the term rat race isn't just about like a typical 9-to-5 job,
Right.
It's more of a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of being trapped, right?
Mm.
It's like a cycle of just working for someone else's goals.
Yeah.
You're feeling financially unstable and just like a lack of autonomy. You just feel like you don't have control of your own life.
It really does feel like that hamster wheel thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just spinning and spinning.
Lots of effort, but
getting nowhere.
But no real progress.
Right.
Right. Like, where are you going, And that's where the idea of intentional living comes into play, I think.
Oh.
It's this idea of like designing a life around your own values and goals, right?
Makes sense.
You're not just following someone else's path, you're creating your own.
Mm.
And it's really powerful when you consider that even high earners, like people making 6 figures, can still feel trapped in that cycle.
Yeah, that's a point that really struck me in one of the videos we're looking at today. It's from James Janney.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's not just about income, then what is it about,
Right. And Johnny talks about this thing called the ostrich effect in his video.
The ostrich effect.
Yeah. And it's this...
like burying your head in the sand.
Yeah. Yeah. Like literally like an ostrich, right?
Hmm.
It's a pretty common human tendency to kind of just avoid negative financial information.
So
Think about it, like not wanting to check your bank balance after a big spending spree.
Oh, yeah.
Like we've all been there, right?
Totally.
You kind of just want to ignore it and hope it goes away.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just about finances either, right?
Right.
This feeling, this feeling of being tracked can kind of seep into other areas of our lives.
For sure.
Like our careers. I mean, think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had a boss who's like made you do something that you really didn't want to do?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like something that went against your values.
Oh, yeah. I remember this one time I had this boss who
oh, no.
actually demanded that I send this like really rude email to a colleague.
Oh, wow.
Talk about soul crushing.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
I mean, that's a perfect example of how being dependent on a single job or income source can really make you feel powerless.
Yeah.
You have no choice but to do what they say.
Right.
Even if it goes against everything you believe in. It's interesting. That experience you shared reminds me of something that Nisha talks about in her video.
Right.
She had a similar encounter with her boss where she was asked to compromise her values.
Wow.
And it's situations like that where we're asked to do things that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
That can really make us feel stuck.
Yeah. It's like a wake-up call.
Oh,
like,
right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way to do this whole working thing, right?
Exactly.
What am I doing here?
And there are better ways.
Right.
Johnny, in his video, talks about reframing how we think about finances.
Okay.
And thinking about it more as production versus consumption.
Production versus consumption.
Yeah, it's not just about earning more. It's about understanding your spending habits.
Okay.
Like, where is your money going?
Right.
Are you spending it on things that are actually important to you?
Yeah.
Or are you just, like, mindlessly consuming? He uses a pretty extreme example to kind of, like, drive that point home.
Okay.
Remember Mike Tyson?
Oh, yeah.
Heavyweight champion of the world, right? Filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
Despite earning over $300 million in his career.
Seriously.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
But it's a pretty powerful example of how even massive income can't fix bad spending habits. So that's why things like budgeting are so crucial.
Okay.
Having an emergency fund, right? Living below your means.
Yeah.
These aren't just like tips for saving money.
Right.
They're about gaining control
Okay.
over your finances and ultimately over your life. You're not letting your money control you, you're controlling your money.
I see. Yeah.
And I think that's where concepts like the FIRE movement come in.
Okay. FIRE, yeah.
Financial independence, retire early, right?
Yeah.
It's this whole like community of people who are focused on extreme frugality and and early retirement.
Right, right.
Like they're really dedicated to this idea of escaping the rat race.
Okay.
And then you have the minimalist lifestyle too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which was also mentioned in the video. And, they might seem like pretty different approaches.
Yeah.
But they both point to this idea of like achieving financial freedom.
I see.
Not being tied down by your possessions or your spending habits.
It's about living intentionally, right?
Exactly.
With what you have.
And it's not just about saving money. It's about making that money work for you.
Okay.
Through investments. Justin Welsh in his article talks about exploring options like ETFs, bonds, even real estate.
Wow.
These are all tools that can help you build long-term wealth and break free from relying on a single paycheck.
So we're starting to see a path here, right?
Yeah.
Taking control of your finances is a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
But what about our careers?
Right.
Welsh seems pretty passionate about the importance of finding work you genuinely love.
Yeah.
Do you think that's realistic for everyone?
That's a great question. It's definitely a great goal to strive for.
Yeah.
But I understand the skepticism.
Yeah.
Not everyone is lucky enough to find a job that they absolutely love.
Right.
But I think it starts with finding the right fit for your skills and interests.
Okay.
Remember that concept of flow state that Nisha talked about in her video?
Flow state.
Yeah. It's about finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
Where your abilities meet a challenging but engaging task. Right. You're not bored, but you're not overwhelmed.
Right, you're in the zone.
Yeah, you're in the zone, you're totally engaged.
That makes sense.
And sometimes finding that flow means shaking things up a bit.
Okay.
Maybe it's finding new challenges within your current job.
Right.
Or maybe it's starting a side hustle.
Oh, yeah.
That pushes you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, like something totally different.
Yeah, something that you're passionate about,
right. Right.
Something that lights you up.
Totally.
And I think Welsh would be a fan of that approach.
Okay.
In one of his tweets, he compares building a career to how a VC builds a portfolio.
Okay.
You diversify your income streams. You build the sustainable path that's not reliant on any one thing.
I see. Okay.
He even says, he's not interested in building the next unicorn startup or being on any,
right.
Forbes list or whatever.
Yeah.
He's more about building a fulfilling and enjoyable career.
Interesting.
One that aligns with his values. And I think that speaks to something bigger too, right?
Yeah, what's that?
It's not just about the work itself, but it's also about opting out of those corporate status games.
Totally.
It's about defining success on your own terms.
Yeah, not letting someone else tell you what success looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's about what's important to you.
It's about what matters to you, right? And I think that ties into the importance of diversifying your identity beyond just your job title.
Oh, interesting.
You're not just an accountant or a lawyer or a teacher.
You're more than that.
You're so much more than that. You have so many different facets to your personality.
Right.
And you know what? I remember a time when I felt so boxed in by my job title.
Really?
Like it defined my entire existence.
Wow.
I was just like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
But breaking free from that was a game changer.
Oh.
I started exploring other aspects of myself.
Yeah.
And it was like this whole new world opened up to me.
I bet.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
And it took courage to do that, to step outside of that comfort zone and explore those other parts of myself.
Yeah, it's scary to break out of that box.
It is.
But it sounds like it was worth it.
It was so worth it.
That's awesome.
It really was.
So it sounds like you discovered the power of not being defined by a single role or label.
Exactly.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And, it's something that companies like Google and Apple have done so well.
Right.
Their visions are much broader than just their initial products.
Right.
They're constantly evolving. They're constantly innovating.
Yeah, always pushing the boundaries.
Always pushing the boundaries, right. And it's a great model for personal growth.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's like saying, we all have the potential to become our own personal Google or Apple.
Exactly.
Constantly exploring.
Right.
Expanding our horizons.
Always learning, always growing.
That's great.
And that exploration often leads to a greater sense of freedom and control over our lives.
I see.
It's about setting boundaries.
Okay.
Being selective about the opportunities we pursue.
Right.
And making choices that align with our values.
So you're not just chasing every shiny object that comes your way.
Exactly. You're being intentional.
Right. Okay.
You're thinking about what's truly important to you. Remember that story that Nisha shared about being asked to do extra work that didn't really benefit her career?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was just going to, like, burn her out.
Yeah, and she ultimately decided to say no to that.
She did. She did.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of feeling obligated to say yes to everything, you know?
Especially when it comes to our careers, right?
Oh, yeah.
We want to be seen as helpful and dedicated.
Right.
But sometimes, saying no is the most powerful thing you can do. It's about recognizing your worth and protecting your time and energy.
Yeah, it's about setting those boundaries, right?
Exactly.
Like, this is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
And this is where I draw the line.
And this is where I draw the line, right? You're not a doormat.
Yeah.
You have the right to say no.
I had to make a similar decision recently.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I turned down this pretty lucrative opportunity.
Wow.
But it just didn't feel right.
Okay.
It went against my values. And I knew it would have made me miserable in the long run.
I see.
So I'd just say no.
So you made a conscious choice to prioritize your well-being.
Yeah.
And your values over short-term gains.
Yep.
That's a decision that takes courage.
It does.
But ultimately, it leads to a greater sense of freedom.
Absolutely.
And fulfillment.
Totally.
You're not sacrificing your happiness for a paycheck.
So we've covered a lot of ground here already, right?
Yeah.
Solid financial strategies, finding your passion, diversifying your income. These all seem like essential pieces of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
When it comes to escaping the rat race.
They're all interconnected, right?
Right.
You can't just focus on one and ignore the others.
So what else should our listeners be thinking about as we continue this deep dive?
That's a great question. What's powerful about Nisha's story is how she emphasizes not being dependent on any one thing or any one person, It's about recognizing that your current situation isn't your only option. There's always another way.
It's about taking back control.
Right.
I keep thinking about that anecdote about her boss demanding that rude email.
Oh, yeah.
It really highlights how easy it is to just feel powerless in those situations.
Absolutely.
And how freeing it is to realize that we actually do have choices.
We do.
Even in these rigid environments,
Yeah, we can always choose to act in alignment with our values.
That's a good point.
You don't have to compromise who you are.
Yeah, that really hit home for me. She talked about feeling pressure to compromise her own values just to keep her job. And I think we've all felt that pressure at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good reminder that sometimes saying no can be the most empowering choice we can make.
It can be. It can be. It's about recognizing your worth and setting those boundaries. But that's, a skill that takes practice.
Oh, yeah.
It's not always easy.
For sure.
Especially when we're worried about the consequences,
Yeah, it can be intimidating.
It is.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the easier it gets.
So true.
Yeah.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, I love how she flips the script on work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of letting work dictate her life, she schedules her personal life first.
Okay.
And lets work fill in the gaps.
Interesting.
What do you think about that?
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a subtle shift in perspective, but it can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive.
Yeah.
And designing your life rather than just reacting to whatever work throws your way.
Taking control.
Taking control, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying work is important, but it's not everything.
Right.
We need to make space for the things that bring us joy and recharge our batteries,
Like put on your oxygen mask first?
Exactly. First.
Before assisting others.
Can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that ties back into the importance of diversifying your identity, which we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Don't let your job title define your entire existence.
Right.
Explore your passions, your hobbies, your interests outside of work.
It reminds me of how Google and Apple have evolved over time.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't just limit themselves to one product or one industry, They embraced a broader vision.
And by doing so, they open themselves up to endless possibilities. And you can cultivate that same growth mindset in your own life.
Okay.
Always be learning, exploring, evolving.
So we've talked about financial strategies, career shifts, mindset shifts. But what about those times when things get tough?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because let's face it, the road to freedom.
Yeah.
It isn't always smooth sailing, right?
No, it's not. It's not. there are going to be bumps along the way. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be setbacks.
Exactly. So how do we deal with that?
That's where resilience comes in.
Okay.
Justin Welsh really emphasizes the importance of staying resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks. Mm-hmm. You can't let those things derail you.
Because they will happen, right?
Oh, they will happen.
It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So how do we build that inner strength to keep going?
Well, Welsh points out that setbacks are often stepping stones to greater achievements. It's about embracing change.
Okay.
Constantly learning, evolving.
So it's not a failure, it's a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it right every time.
Right.
But you can learn from your mistakes and come back stronger.
Okay.
He also highlights the importance of building a personal brand.
Okay, a personal brand.
Yeah. In today's digital world, having a strong online presence can open doors to incredible opportunities.
Interesting.
It's about taking control of your narrative.
Okay.
And showcasing your unique skills and expertise. Think of it as an investment in your future.
Like building your own platform.
Exactly. And building genuine connections with people who can support and inspire you along the way.
Right, like your network.
Your network, exactly.
Yeah.
We all need that network of like-minded individuals who understand our goals.
Who get it.
Yeah, who get it. Exactly.
Okay, so a support system is important too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Having a supportive community can make all the difference.
Right.
Which brings us to Nisha's final point.
Okay.
And perhaps her most provocative.
Oh, I was waiting for this one.
Don't be afraid to not care what other people think.
Yes.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone and live up to other people's expectations, right?
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
But it can be incredibly liberating to make choices that align with your own values,
right?
Even if they don't conform to societal norms.
Like, who cares what they think?
Exactly. It's about defining success on your own terms.
She had that amazing story about turning down a lucrative sponsorship opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Because it felt inauthentic. It would have been easy to say yes to the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she stayed true to herself.
She did. It was a bold move.
It was.
But it ultimately reinforced her sense of freedom and control over her own career.
Powerful stuff.
It is. It's a powerful reminder that we always have a choice.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah.
It's clear that escaping the rat race is about so much more than just money.
It is.
It's about designing a life that aligns with our deepest values and aspirations.
It's about financial freedom, career fulfillment, and cultivating a resilient and empowered mindset.
It's about breaking free from those limiting beliefs and expectations that keep us stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have the power to create the life we want. We just have to believe it's possible.
And step into a life of purpose, passion, and authentic self-expression.
I'm feeling inspired.
Me too. This deep dive has been packed with insightful advice and actionable steps. So, but before we wrap things up, I'm curious to hear your final thoughts on all of this. What's the one thing you really want our listener to take away from this conversation?
It sounds like you're saying freedom is a choice we make every day.
Yeah, it's not something we achieve overnight and then we're done. It's more of an ongoing thing, right?
Exactly. It's a continuous journey, We make conscious decisions, big and small.
Right.
And they move us closer to the life we envision.
So it's not about waiting for the perfect moment or for external things to change. It's about taking ownership right now.
It is. It's about recognizing those choices we make every day that either keep us feeling stuck or propel us toward freedom.
Like those small but powerful decisions.
Exactly.
Right? Like saying yes to that extra project, even though you know it's going to burn you out.
Yeah.
Or finally setting boundaries with that colleague who just drains your energy.
Right. Those little decisions, they can really add up over time.
It's about becoming aware of those patterns and then making a conscious effort to change them.
And it's not always easy, but
it's worth it.
It is.
To feel that sense of freedom.
And we should remember to celebrate those small victories along the way.
Oh, that's a good point.
Every step, no matter how small that we take towards greater freedom,
yeah,
it deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, it keeps us motivated, it keeps us going.
It's like those small wins add up to big transformations.
They do.
Over time.
They do. It builds momentum, it builds confidence.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Hit me with that final thought-provoking question you've got for our listeners.
Okay, so imagine this.
Okay.
If you could design your ideal day, what would it look like? What would you be doing? Where would you be?
Okay.
Who would you be with?
Right.
And most importantly, what needs to change
to
make that vision a reality?
So it's about bridging that gap between where we are and where we want to be.
It is. It is. You know, the journey might be challenging.
Right.
But the freedom to live a life you truly love is worth fighting for.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you're walking away feeling inspired to break free and create a life that truly lights you up.
Until next time. Keep learning.
Keep growing. Keep pushing those boundaries.
You've got this.
So that was today's episode of my Side Hustle Weekend podcast. For everyone listening, if you're ready to take action on what you learned today, here's where you can find more resources. First, head over to sidehustleweekend.com. I've put together detailed guides, templates, and case studies. And while you are there, don't miss out on my free newsletter, Side Hustle Weekend. If you found value in today's discussion, hit that like button and subscribe to join our Weekend Hustlers community. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our episodes where we break down more side hustle strategies. Check the description below for all the tools and resources we mentioned today. Remember, everyone's journey starts with a single step. Whether you're looking to make an extra $500 a month or build something bigger, start with what you learned today and take action. So, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode where we'll break down another practical way to grow your income.